First and foremost, I'm not a doctor. And I keep telling them that, but that's okay. And I'm conscious of time, and I'm conscious that all of you have heard many great presentations this week. I've had to change mine a little bit because I actually was going to start with a DVD from a parent talking about the emotional impact of cancer on his family. But unfortunately, because of internet connections here, it doesn't work. And it was a DVD, and I've got the link at the end, so if anybody wants to take it down, they can look at it. And it was of a young man whose son was palliative from neuroblastoma, and his wife was also palliative at the same time with breast cancer. So it was quite a hard and traumatic time, and it's something that's really worth looking at. Overall, I'll quickly, and I'm conscious of time, so I'll, number one, it's talking about something about childhood cancer is something that's so passionate to my life that I could talk for hours, but I won't delay you because I know morning tea's ready. In Victoria, these are just some figures from Victoria, and we see somewhere, and these are just our figures at the Children's Cancer Centre, we see about 170 cases per year. We have one other hospital in Melbourne called Monash Children's Hospital, and they see about 50. So overall, we have about 220 cases per year in Victoria. And this is just a breakdown of the different groups, the solids, the liquids, etc. And again, I'm a bit conscious of time, so I won't go through all of them. I'm sorry. Brain tumours, and I really just put that there, and I should have all the names, but as I said, my slides changed this morning. Pediatric brain tumours are the leading cause of mortality in children and adolescents. And that, I think, is the same no matter where we are. We also think of pediatrics in children, but then we've got the young children, or the AYAs, as they're now more commonly called. And in the Victoria, the pediatrics, we see about 50 to 60 children per year over the age of 12, and at the RCH, about 26 of those are over the age of 15. So there are, for all of the young age people, there are about 3 in Victoria of everyone up to the age of 24 who is diagnosed. They have great needs and are very different, and their psychosocial needs and their emotional needs and their financial needs are even different again to the pediatric world and very different to the adult world that you and I live in. I love this slide. Somebody gave it to me ages ago, and I used it often from talking about teenagers or adolescents and the brain of a teenager. I've just put it in there really to break the monotony of the day, but I do love, you know, the parts of where it is. He's going to point to me the top one. You know, the birds and the bees, the rebellion centre. I like the centre for music, but I like the one where we have all the answers. It's a good old brain. As I said, we have 220 cases in Victoria. The survival rate in the 70s to 79 was 49%, and in 2006 to 2010, the overall cure rate is 82%. So we are getting better. But the emotional, it comes with a lot of huge impact, and the emotional impact is probably bigger than it was in the 70s, because in the 70s, parents didn't have access to a lot of the things that they have today. Rarely is pediatric oncology a medical emergency, very rarely. And in my 30 plus years of working in the field, I can only think of about 20, who actually were diagnosed in intensive care. But it is always an emotional and a financial emergency. And that's because it's a young child that's involved. Either one or both parents have to give up work. If you and I have cancer, we can go to the hospital on our own, the children can't. We can go to clinics on our own, the children can't. All of those things. I've used this article, which is, if anybody gets a chance to read it, it's about parents' role in decision making for children with cancer in the first year of treatment. And it's actually quite an interesting article, and it's worth reading if anybody gets it. It is a few years old now, it's from 2011, but it's still, I think, pertinent today. And I've picked out some of the responses that parents had said, saying, I prefer to make the decisions about treatment with little or no impact from my child's oncologist. I find that probably would have happened quite a long time ago. Whereas I prefer that my child's oncologist makes the decisions with little or impact for me. That would never happen, I think, today, because I think it's a joint thing that they like to make the decisions together. And it's very important that those decisions are made together. 2/3, or 66%, desired a collaborative decision making. 26% preferred to retain responsibility, primary responsibility, whereas 8% only gave it to the physician, and I totally agree with that. we need to improve on the quality of information and communication, and that is both to help the psychosocial, the emotional, the financial, and every support that is possible. Children wanted to be involved in the process. Half didn't understand when they were doing that bit of a questionnaire that was even research, and 86% said they didn't understand sometimes what the doctor says. I think that even happens today, that sometimes the parents don't, but they go back and ask. And nowadays they have nurse coordinators, etc., who they can ask the questions of, which is fantastic. There are different ways that we can help improve all of these things: developing parent education, engaging parents in the quality of improvement, and improving co-decision making. How do we improve co-decision making? It's by understanding what the preferred choice of the parents is and improving our role and our quantity of the communication and information we give. So we still have lots to do together. Lots and lots. I've given this article, and this article is by an Australian lady, The Art of Not Being a Difficult Parent, worth reading if anybody's interested into those sort of things, and I think it's really a fantastic article. Childhood cancer nowadays, as I said, it's a very emotive and financial thing, and this is what we have available for us at the Children's Hospital of different support groups. It can get confusing for the families, because who do I go to for what support, etc., etc. We have groups that do some in-house hospital programs. We have some who do support educational and school support for families, while we have others who do lots of financial supports. And there's lots who do recreation and financial supports. And all of these things go to helping the families cope better emotionally, etc., etc. This was something that the Parent Advisory Group worked on last year, and there's a copy of this in every patient room, in every doctor's outpatient clinic, etc., etc. So is that in case sometimes you give parents information and sometimes they say, oh God, I got so much, I don't know what it is. But someday when they're sitting there in the room, they can have a say of it. For those of us in Australia, they know that the #2 standard for the Australian Health Service accreditation for the last number of years has been consumer engagement. And we've taken that on in a big way to improve the overall outcome for our families. Hospital accreditation, I'm sure, is the same everywhere throughout the world, probably more so in Australia where we have it on a regular basis. We set up then the Parent Advisory Group. This is myself with 2 parents. When we listen to you, we support you and report for you. Not because some families, and I'm sure we're all the same no matter what country we come from, you don't want to complain too much about services because you think it's going to impact on your child or yourself as a patient. Oh, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. But prior to starting and setting up a parent advisory group, which is very important and is worth starting, you need to know that you've got the necessary support infrastructure in your hospital or in your institution. The hospital needs, or your unit needs, a strategic plan. Then you need to sort of work on having some sort of workshops with parents or forums, one-off things where they can get what you need to find out what they want from such a group, which will help them. The group need to come up with some certain criteria for that group. Then you need to look at how you're going to recruit your parents. Not every parent wants to be involved. You don't want every parent involved, but you need to know that you want the people who really care. You need to have a good orientation package for the parents. And again, that's helping them come along the journey because it's only going to help you. You need to look at how you're going to retain the group and recognise them. And when I say retention, we said that there need to be parents who were either just off treatment or within coming to the end of treatment. Because you don't want somebody who's about 4 or 5 years down the track, because things have changed and do change a lot. You also have retention. We say that they can be on for 2 years, and you can repeat that. You can have 3 sets of 2 years, but that's the maximum. And making sure we recognise them and get them involved in things. Make sure you offer them, because they're all volunteers, they're not paid, and it's in their own time, that they offer regular support. And if they go through traumatic times or difficult visits or something to the ward, that you have a debrief with them. We also ask them that they present at a staff quality meeting in the Cancer Centre once a quarter on some of the issues that they've raised, or some things, or something that might be. When I say recruitment as well, you need to be very careful that, yes, we all as parents come along with some sort of baggage, that you don't come just to join the group to get rid of your own baggage, that you're there to see out further. Our team consists of 10 parents, but we've only got 9 at the moment, so we've got 1 vacancy. We've got the medical director, the 2 unit nurse managers. They rotate because we've got 1 in the ward area, 1 in day oncology, and we've got the social worker, the head of our social work team, and myself. So it's not a huge team, it's mainly parent driven. And we meet monthly and we liaise with the hospital. The hospital have a hospital-wide parent advisory group too. So we have that person who is invited to all of our meetings, their liaison person. She comes about 3 or 4 times a year. We meet monthly. And we also liaise with PICS, and I should have written there what PICS actually stands for. It stands for Paediatric Integrated Cancer Services. 10 years ago in the government, who were in Victoria at the time, they set up the whole state was divided into 8 regions for different cancer services. Paediatrics was going to be one part of each of those services. So of course paediatrics is only 2% of cancers diagnosed. So paediatrics would have been lost. So our director at the time fought, and we actually have our own paediatric integrated cancer service, and it's linked into each of the 8 places. And the idea is that the parents can get treatment as close to home as possible. And we liaise with the International Childhood Cancer Parent Group. It used to be called IKIPU, which was a big long word or name, but I know they've changed it, Childhood Cancer International. And it's a great place for parents to network, etc., etc. Sorry, gone the wrong way. What are the accomplishments? And it's really good, and this helps the psychosocial and financial aspects. They do an annual report, they review information and questionnaires, and that's for both PICS and the hospital. So even when the data managers or the clinical trials people are doing doing questionnaires, doing new ethics things, once it's been to ethics, they also need, before they send it out to parents, they send it to the parent advisory group to see that it's in parent speak. Because it's all fine for you guys who work in research and everything else on an everyday basis, but some of our families don't. If the medical staff are having a letter campaign, we send it out to the parent advisory group, just again to see that it's okay and that it reads okay for them. We have a set of parent tip sheets, we've got the storyboard. They do visit the ward every month on an informal basis, and that's to help the current parents who are in the ward. So as I said, if they want to report some issues, that something they're not happy with, or if they want to say good things about the staff, that's also great. But if there are issues that we want to take up, that's fine. They have family and patient education days, always do a movie around Christmas time, and they're working hard in initiating the gold ribbon for childhood cancer. I actually haven't got mine on today, I had it on yesterday. And we also have membership from this group on other committees around the hospital that can help, and it's only from patient care committees, none of the other things that we do with. You find PEG, or as we call it PEG, the Parent Advisory Committee group, we find that at the RCH website. It's worth having a look at, and if any of you have got parents in your area who are willing to do something like that, it's worth a while. I've just mentioned the PICS a few moments ago, and we have the Victorian Paediatric Oncology Consumer Registry, and that's for all parents, and there are many ways that we try to get them involved, and we work hand in hand with PICS so as that they can give us feedback. And the only way we can improve things and help families and get them to meet other families who are going through what they're through is by involving them. And that does help in their outcome, because no matter how much a doctor says, you have a great success rate, or, this is a clinical trial and we're going to do this, this and this, families need to talk and like to see other people who've been through it or be aware of it. That's their registry link, so PICS is a great organisation to be part of. One thing I tell parents, and I also tell nurses, and I've just heard that conversation saying we shouldn't have too much chocolates and too much everything else, but it's something that it helps them in their quality. Chocolates can be bad. Actually, I don't eat chocolates, believe it or not, looking at the size of me. I think I've had 3 chocolates in my life. I'm not a chocolate lover. But I tell them to look at the things and use the chocolates that have names on them that do things, like Boost. Give yourself a boost, and it's really good for the staff. I also use that because we need them to be involved. Have a twirl, time out, whatever of those things that you like. Sometimes it's not the big things that families need to do, but get the picnic, go on a picnic bar. Have a picnic bar and go on a picnic. And we encourage parents, because once families are diagnosed with a childhood cancer, their world closes in. It is quite sad for them in that sense of way. But we need to encourage them to take that and go with it and enjoy the things. Take time out for yourselves and enjoy it. You know, cancer is the one good thing, and as you saw earlier, one of my slides said 82%. You know, there's not an overall survival rate. Yes, there are some cancers like neuroblastoma that hasn't done as well. Some of our brain tumours, but they are coming on, and there are new trials available for all of those groups, which is the great thing. But we need to sort of at the same time give that family and that child time out. I have left that slide there because this was what I was going to link up to, but it doesn't. But if any of you Google Little Stars Marmaduke, that's where you will see that slide where I talked about the father talking about his issues going through palliative care with his son and his wife at the same time. It is rare, but it does happen, and currently we actually have 4 families in the ward who all have 2 children who have got cancer. So it does happen. So thank you, and I'm sorry that I've rushed through it, but I'm conscious of time, and hopefully that's helped in some way. But it's a great area to work in, and I believe that childhood cancer is bittersweet because we see the children, the parents, and the staff at their best and at their worst, and I love it. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.